Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and work through a couple more practice problems like we did today in class. The very first thing that you have to do with stoichiometry is always balance your equation, so that's where we're going to start with this problem. We see that we have one nitrogen on the left and one on the right, so we're going to leave that alone. But over here we see we have two oxygens, and then of course you have three oxygens on the reactant side of the problem. So let's go ahead and try to get that to a nice even number. If we put a 2 in front of that NO, now we have two nitrogens. Then we have two oxygens here and two oxygens here, so we have a total of 4, which means if we add a coefficient of 2 in front of the nitrite, or excuse me, the nitrogen dioxide, it would be balanced. So now we have our balanced equation. Let's take a look at what the problem's giving us and what it's asking us to do. It's telling us that we have 2 moles of NO, and the very first thing that we're going to need to do is convert that into oxygen. So let's go ahead and do that. We know that we're trying to get to moles of O2. Anytime you're trying to get units to cancel out, we're going to drop down these units of moles. And so now, like we talked about all day, when you see mole over mole, you've got to find some sort of molar ratio. So we're looking for a way to compare moles of oxygen to moles of NO. When we look up here at our coefficients, I see that I have 2 moles of NO for every 1 mole of oxygen. Remember, we understand that if there's no coefficient written there, that it's a coefficient of 1. And now we would just multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2, and then divided by 2. So if we have 2 moles of NO, we actually have 1 mole of oxygen. So we'll go ahead and fill that in with 1 mole. And if we have 2 moles of NO, how many moles of NO2 are produced? Well, let's go ahead. Again, we're starting with 2 moles of NO, and we are trying to calculate the number of moles of NO2. So again, you're going to drop moles of NO down. And once again, you see mole over mole. When you see mole over mole, you're looking for some sort of molar ratio. So we're going to compare the number of moles of NO, which is 2, to the number of moles of NO2, which is also 2, and then multiply straight across and divide. 2 times 2 is 4, divided by 2 equals 2 moles of NO2. And we would fill that in right here.